are here in Madurai, that's often called the cultural capital of Tamil Nadu, and an election campaign, or rather an election tour of Tamil Nadu. We are here on a boat ride with Palanivel Thiaga Rajan, who is what you would not think of a politician at all. Very, very unusual for a politician. The background that he has had, he's been a global investment banker and been a politician now for what, 2 elections, and this is going to be your third.
Yep.
This particular election, we are here in Madurai, this beautiful tank that we are, Teppakulam. Please tell us about it first, because Madurai is most famous for its heritage.
Yeah, this Teppakulam was built in the time of the Nayak dynasty, around the 1600s, by the great luminary of that dynasty was Thirumalai Nayakar, who built the Thirumalai Nayakar palace. And in his time, they excavated this and set it up for this Mariamman temple as a Teppakulam for the temple. Plus, in the summers, the Utsavar comes and spends the summer in this mandapam here inside. So it was not maintained for a while, but in the last few years, we have renovated the amazing engineering system that went into keeping it always fed. So all the water you see is coming from the Vijay river, and we've come back to its old glory.
So this tank, of course, is looking beautiful, and the waters are also looking clean and neat. But it must hurt that Madurai was put in that list of, at the bottom of that list of the Swachh Sarvekshan 2025.
If you ask me, am I satisfied with the level of waste management and infrastructure, the answer is no. But as you might know, one of the curses of infrastructure management is the older the city, the more likely you have these problems. And I think culturally, as you said, Madurai is a capital because it is more than 2,000 years of continuous occupation. So particularly, this is not my constituency, but where the Madurai Meenakshi Amman temple is my constituency. If you take that part of the city that has been continuously inhabited for many, at least 2,000-3,000 years. And so the infrastructure has not kept up. As you might also know in public policy, identifying beneficiaries, running schemes, improving education, getting better health, these are all much easier to do. The hardest thing to do is build basic infrastructure for water, for underground drainage, for stormwater management, for waste management, because it is a continuously integrated system and it requires very sophisticated engineering, including the inclines and all that stuff, plus sewage treatment plants, plus a lot of other things, waste management in the era of recycling. And you have to do it when the population is increasing so dramatically. Like if you take the frame of Madurai, the basic infrastructure on stormwater, rainwater management and water supply is the model built by the British in 1908. Till I was an opposition MLA, I was not even able to get the master plan documents such as they existed. What I have done in this term as a minister, as part of the government, is for the first time appoint contractors. When I was finance minister, we funded this to get comprehensive, separate stormwater management, rainwater management. As you know, Tamil Nadu is a monsoon-fed state. So about 80-85% of our rainfall falls maybe in 50 days of the year, and more in some places. And also a separate underground drainage to match not just today's population, but the expected population over the next 10 years.
So you're saying the wake-up call didn't come with the survey itself. You were aware, of course, of the problem.
Yeah, I mean, we knew the problem. We didn't know the extent of it, and we didn't have a master plan for it. Now we have got a detailed project report for both. And one of them runs into about 3,000 something crores, and the other is about 1,000 something crores. The Chief Minister, in his magnanimity, has already announced the first phase of both these DPRs will be taken up immediately, though the tender was not yet given because of the Model Code of Conduct. And both will be at the heart of the city, covering the temple, because you have to start working inside out, because that's where the highest density is. That's where the greatest volume of sewage or waste is.
A smart city project take care of any of those? Because even now, those grievances keep coming up,
yeah,
isn't
the smart city was the biggest kind of scam. I'm not even blaming the government of India. I'm saying the ministers who were here, the smart city money was spent on all kinds of extraneous, nefarious things, including in one particular example. Around the temple, there was a paver block roads. The Chitra Vidhis were stopped for traffic and was set up for only walking. I can't tell how aggravated I was that some genius decided that it needed to be taken out and some 4-inch square granite cubes were going to be placed. It was the height of stupidity. They took out the river sand underneath, they concreted it. It was a criminal waste. It made a decent outcome into an atrociously bad outcome. The smart city did absolutely nothing for us. In fact, it was too little in its ambition and misdirected in its intent. Like the Periyar bus stand, which was intended to be shifted out and taken out to Mattathavani, they decided to recreate it in a way that blocked the roads that went through it. So we are suffering from the consequences of atrociously bad planning. They didn't get environmental clearance for the major shopping complexes that were built. We're not able to lease it out. Yeah, we're not able to lease it out.
You're someone who has cared for strays and you're an animal lover, obviously. The sanitation of a city obviously reflects in the numbers of strays that we have, and every city in the country, even the rural areas, battling with it.
I would say the stray problem is a very unique problem. It is the kind of most illustrative example of the failure of governance and the consequences of 2 years of lockdown of COVID. That is actually when the problem got out of hand. When 2 years, everybody else got locked up and nobody was touching anything, the dog population exploded. In our departments, we have been looking at the numbers, and it is clear that ABC got overwhelmed because the rate of ABC compared to the number of dogs is completely out of whack. People like Blue Cross have those statistics. Because I'm an animal lover, I've gone out of my way to find that out. It's not a Tamil Nadu problem, not a Madurai problem, not an India problem. All over the world, the model of governance is failing because governments are not investing enough into things like data platforms, into optimizing administration, because it is not a sellable political thing. It's much easier to do other things in politics.
I thought IT and digital was the most saleable in many senses.
No, but what are you selling? You're selling that there will be better governance if you invest 1,000 crores into improving the government's data platform. Where do you get votes for that? It's much easier to go and say, I'll give you this scheme, I'll do that project, I'll build this road, I'll give you that water. So this is around the world. This is not unique to us. In fact, I have a contract to write a book about it. But broadly, the model of democratic governance is failing because the push and pull of political discourse has become so aggressive and so tuned by social media and instant gratification that there is very little work being done on profound administrative issues, including the digitalization, which is a core component of how you can ever hope to keep up. This is a broader problem. Wait, I'm just saying, in that problem, the dog problem is the perfect example of a perfect storm. That is, that while everybody else was locked down, the dogs were not being sterilized and the population exploded.
Do people talk to you about these issues when you go campaigning, or
yeah,
you have to follow a template?
No, I have to. Well, I have tried to be different in the sense that every 6 months I put out a report talking about what all complaints came, what all I did, what was easy to do, what has not been done, what was still left to be done. And I had a habit of walking around the constituency and engaging with people. So I have tried my best. This was when I was opposition MLA also. The biggest difference then was when I was opposition MLA, for various reasons, the local body election had not been run. So there were no councillors, there was no mayor, there was no corporation council. So I was also doing the work of the corporation councillors. Now we have run the elections. In some ways that has been good, in some ways it has created new problems, a different story for a different day. So I was not as engaged on the day-to-day in the street because I didn't want to intrude into the work of the councillors. You know, I can't say I want devolution and I want federalism from union to state and then actually become, you know, authoritarian by taking away the role or the rights or the duties of the councillors. But when the failure started to manifest beyond a certain point, I started going around myself a lot. And
you're one of the most vocal in terms of that same federalism that you spoke about. That the center is not giving us the kind of resources that we deserve. Is that something that becomes an election issue? Is it something that's gone into people's psyche as well?
I think in this case the Chief Minister has been very effective in communicating to the people the actual instances and the consequences. What are the instances of extra legal or extra moral activities by the government of India in restricting funds or not letting our bills get passed by the governor or other things like that? and what are the implications of that in people's lives, right? For example, this 2,800 something crores in the Samagra Shiksha funds that were already in the finance bill, appropriation bill, should have been given to Tamil Nadu, and then they decided to impose an extra statutory condition, it was not in the bill, saying that you have to adopt NEP and do 3-language formula or you won't get the money. This is clear violation of not just natural justice or fairness, also of the law. But we are not going to be cowed down for that. And so these are issues where I think we lose the money, but it becomes clearer to people what is the moral imperative here and how hard we have to fight to protect our identity and our culture and our value system from somebody trying to extort us using money to do other things.
It's easy for people from these states which are contributing so much more and getting conditionally the money for them to be on one side. But how do you change this? I mean, that equation is always going to be unequal, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think we have a problem with unequal. I think all over the world in federal systems, those who have more contribute more or who earn more or who make more. And the hope is that by contributing more to the people who have less, that it becomes more level. We've had this conversation in many places. So it's not that the richer states or the higher per capita states give more, that's the problem. It's that continuously giving more and more and more over 25, 30 years has continued to result in an accelerating gap between the haves and the have-nots. And so this doesn't seem to be working. We need a more profound approach. For example, 25 years ago, Tamil Nadu was roughly 7.5%, 8% of the population, roughly 7.5%, 8% of the GDP, and got roughly 7% of the taxes devolved to the states. Now we are roughly 5.8% of the population, roughly 9.5 to 10% of the GDP, which means we're paying more like 12, 13% of the total tax because taxation is progressive, and we're getting 4% of the devolution. So this problem is only going the wrong way. I have suggested as a concrete solution back in the 15th Finance Commission when I wrote the submission on behalf of the DMK when I was opposition MLA. I said two things. One, make the payout ratios contingent on achieving intermediate goals. Right now the payout ratios largely award people more if they are poorer. You're almost rewarding failure. And that's what you say, retrospective measures. That is, the outcome is already known and after that you're rewarding those who have done badly. Make the measures more prospective. For example, we know what are the drivers of such outcomes. The more girls are in school as a percentage of all, the more you give them menstrual hygiene and keep them in school through higher levels of education. You delay marriage, you increase productivity, increase the likelihood of getting a Tamil Nadu scenario where 42% of all women working in the formal manufacturing sector in India are working in a state with less than 6% of the population. So our average productivity is that much better because we have so many more women in the workforce. And a lot of this growth we've shown last year, 16% nominal, 11.19% notional, is come out of 3 or 4 sectors. Manufactured electronics, goods and exports, leather and non-leather footwear, and textiles, specialty textiles, where we have seen huge growth, all major employers of tens of thousands of women, right? So back then I proposed, I say, A, make the measures based on which you give more money, things like what percentage of all children are in school, what percentage of girls stay till 12, what percentage of every community, of every religion, of every, from upper caste to Dalit are all there. Because weighted average productivity is the basis for competition in a global economy. If you don't fix the elementary school attendance, you've lost the battle. You can't bring them into skill training later if they haven't gone through elementary school. And I said, make it more forward-looking. That is, if you do better this year, you'll get more money next year. Not after 5 years, if you've done badly, you'll get money for the next 5 years based on what you did the last 5 years, right? So these kinds of changes need to be made to the Finance Commission's approach, in my view.
So let's come to politics now.
Yeah.
We are in Madurai region and the southern Tamil Nadu or western Tamil Nadu, ADMK is always seen as its stronghold. Now with TTV Dinakaran also there and the Tevar vote, the 1 year group, which is PMK, at least they say the main PMK group is with the AIADMK alliance. So is that caste arithmetic going to trounce the DMK at least in these regions?
In my view, because we're all limited by and shaped by our path through life, our experiences. I live 30 years away. I come from the social justice movement, fourth or fifth generation, depending on how you look at it. And we have always thought that caste is not the basis for doing politics. It may end up being the arithmetic of it, but that is the case. In my view, this election I don't think is going to be determined that much by caste, because every caste is split on all sides of the equation. We have OPS and a bunch of his people in our camp now. TTV is in a different camp. In the West also we have Sengotian who has moved to the TVK. So, and in the PMK you've seen a father-son split. The ADMK also has Sasikala now, also of the same community, Muklathor community, in alliance with Ramdas. So I think in this election, the caste vote will be less standard, predictable than the past. But if even at the theoretical level, this election has the caste much more divided across multiple camps.
So it kind of gets neutralized in one sense.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's harder to predict, right? Whatever polls we have seen. We have seen.
Do you watch films, and have you watched Vijay, and what do you think of him as a phenomenon?
Sadly, one of the few things I don't do is watch films. I want to, but I don't have time, so I've never watched that many movies. So I've never seen a Vijay movie ever. But I understand he's a big star, and I say it very neutrally. Democracy requires participation by as many people as possible. So in the sense that even Perarangar Anna said, for every government, a healthy opposition is a good thing. So if you extend that concept, the more people who are actively participating in an election, the better off we are as a democracy overall. Then people will decide who gets what level of expectation or trust placed in them.
So people are all looking at him as a new commodity. All right, the celebrity status is there,
Yeah.
star value is there, but they are also saying they're kind of sick of the traditional politics. Unfortunately, they say DMK or ADMK,
Yeah.
we have been doing it for years, and therefore the new commodity, and therefore you expect him to become that person who is going to become a vote cutter, and therefore margins even otherwise traditionally low, isn't it? Tamil Nadu, 3 to 5% or so.
Yeah, I don't know. Every election is a different election. You start with me. I won my first election by about 4.5%. I won my second by over 23%. If you look at the statewide results, the first election in 16, that I stood in, we lost by about 1% in the popular vote statewide. Last election, we won by about 5.5%. So it depends. If you look at the parliament elections, much different scenario. In the parliament election in 19, our coalition won by over 22% margin against the
Parliament
combined.
Again becomes a very different story.
Yeah,
but
so I'm saying,
2021 and 2026, what are the similarities and differences you see?
Well, our coalition is largely intact, and the ADMK's coalition has fractured a bit and is broken. And a lot of what people who are in the ADMK have come out in 21. In a different way, till 21, we could only run largely as opposition because we had been in opposition for 10 years. So we could criticize others and say what we were going to do. In 26, we have been in office for 5 years. So we have to campaign, as the Chief Minister says. Primary political strategy for this election is what have we done for 5 years, and based on that you decide if we are a good government and should get re-elected or not. It's the old,
Bringing in so many groups together seems to suggest that you don't want to take any chances. You're doing an insurance policy.
That and all is secondary.
And the huge welfare spending that you have done.
It's not just the welfare spending. I'm saying the schemes we have done in every way. Some of it is welfare spending, some of it is social engineering. We have increased the attendance of girls in higher education, particularly those who come from underprivileged families and government schools. We have increased the attendance of overall children in schools. We have improved the participation of Dalits in the startup ecosystem through a Dalit startup fund, venture capital fund. So we have made social justice and inclusion and universal access at every level, from entrepreneurship to education to quality of life to support schemes as well as we can. One of the examples I give is that there were about 2,000 and odd registered DPI IIT startups in Tamil Nadu when we took office in 2021. Now there are over 13,000. and more than half of those are led by women, which matches this 42% of women in manufacturing.
But you're banking a lot on the Magalde Urimai Togai, the handout that you're giving.
I'm not sure it's a handout. The word Urimai Togai implies that we give it as a recognition of their contribution. But I don't think it's any one thing. I think we as the Chief Minister says, I repeat, we have run a government the best way we know how, by having extraordinarily good data, much better than any government has ever had, being very thoughtful about how we design and implement schemes to achieve our stated ambitions of equitable access and universal access and social justice, and improvement of the ratios of, for example, girls entering college, or poorer families getting access to nutrition, or free bus rides, improving the labor market in cities by giving women relatively low cost of free mobility. Cities, as you know, are largely efficient labor markets. That's the biggest asset of a city. So till now, if they didn't have the ability to get to work from one place to another, that hindered their options. Now you can travel for free anywhere in the city.
So you spoke about electronics, textiles, leather, tanning industry doing very, very well. But there's a huge IT sector, which you of course head IT and digital services. How are you going to foolproof the jobs? All these youth, what are you going to do with them? I mean, do we have a plan there when we talk about
Tamil Nadu
it is of course a challenge all over the world.
Tamil Nadu is a bit of a unique government in the sense that unlike other states, the IT department here is not what most people imagine it to be. In most other states, including the southern states, the IT includes promotion of IT, broader technology. In Karnataka, it's called biotechnology, information technology, electronics, and science and technology. In many cases, it's called information, communication, electronics. But in Tamil Nadu, for whatever historical reasons, almost 100% of the promotional activities and employment generation agenda is placed under the industries department, including the IT sector, which runs, that department, though ELCOT started the tidal parks, for whatever conventional wisdom, all those are not in my department. So, I'm more looking at it as a former engineer myself, as an MIT grad, as a guy who worked in the tech and related industries for 30 years. I'm trying to be innovative and thoughtful. The actual promotion and management of employment, all these things, is largely out of a different department. So I don't want to comment too much on that.
But that is a challenge for any government because employment is the biggest issue for
I think the numbers are quite good. Our growth story has also matched our employment numbers. But again, my understanding, and this is my personal understanding, I think based on the data I know, the overwhelming majority of employment is generated and present in the MSME sector. I don't know if you have done any research, but I did this when I was an opposition MLA. I haven't kept up so much because as a minister, I've been focused more on my own department. But when I was opposition MLA, I pointed out many times that it takes roughly 1 lakh to 1.5 lakhs of investment to create a job in the MSME sector. And at the time, the global investor meets were costing about 30 lakhs, 35 lakhs of investment, largely subsidized by the state to create a job in the kind of large-scale industries. So employment, I think, is not a one sector, one department thing. If there is one place where employment is going to make a big difference, it is in MSME first. These large projects are usually, the bigger the company, the more it is automated and capex driven by large technical machines and investment.
Many of these youth, of course, many of the jobs hopefully will be created. A city like Madurai, tier 2 city, the youth do feel that they don't get enough opportunity in terms of jobs here for the kind of qualifications that they have. And when they go out,
I would say we have done more distributed growth than any other government, right? We have made sure that investments come in every place. Within IT, there's still one vestige. Though ELCOT started tidal parks and they were shifted to industries, ELCOT's own SEZs are still left with ELCOT. So there are some IT parks in my department. There, I would say we have greatly focused on the ELCOT IT parks in Coimbatore, in Madurai, in Salem, in Tirunelveli. And I can talk most lucidly about Madurai because that's my constituency also, my district. Here we have got so many new companies into the LCOD SEZ, and we have started innovating in ways that were not done before. For example, one of the biggest employers is Pinnacle Infotech, which went from 0 to about 1,600 employees in 2 years. Now it wants to expand. We've given them the land for another 1,000 or so. We have also done reclamation of land taken by other companies that were not used. For example, from Honeywell given back to HCL. They're going to go from 8,000 to 10,000 people using that land. And Pinnacle Infotech's biggest concern was that the large female workforce they have, the catchment area for the workforce is about 60-80 kilometers around Madurai. And so they felt that coming and going every day was a bit of a problem. So they wanted to have a hostel in the area for IT companies. The first time that the state has done it, where we denotified some of the land in our SEZ and we signed an agreement. The Chief Minister was here. We broke ground on Pinnacle Infotech's managed hostel on denotified SEZ land for people to work in the SEZ and IT. So you have to keep innovating. When I was Finance Minister, for example, we under the Tamil Nadu Infrastructure Fund Management Corp, we financed the Tholi hostels, and we financed the large women's hostels built for the semiconductor industry, for Tatas, for the electronics industries, for Foxconn. All those we financed out of that entity. So we keep innovating to try and find ways to get more of the work to a distributed approach, because we don't want all of it in Chennai or the northern districts. And while we're less than perfect, I would say we're much better than any government, and we have had a much better distributed outcome in the last 5 years.
Many of these areas, I'm saying maybe the lower end of the work pyramid, let's say, now you have people from other states coming in, and that has begun to create certain degree of resentment, isn't it? Certainly in your industrial belts, the electronic city.
Actually,
and elsewhere.
I think
is that something that we need to think about as a policy?
Well, from the days when we were in opposition, particularly because of COVID, it highlighted to us for the first time how many people from other states were here working as temporary. So, from the early days of our government, we have gone out of our way to create support systems and mechanisms for them to be well taken care of here, health-wise, nutrition-wise, their children to go to school here should they choose to bring their children here. I would say we have done more than ever before for the welfare.
There won't be a Maharashtra kind of a scenario here.
No. I'm just talking about the government. Culturally, I'm saying the great luxury of Tamil Nadu is that we have been a seafaring race for thousands of years. We have always had a global outlook. In Keeladi, which is not far from here down this road, you have found Roman coins in the excavations going back to 200 BC. We were trading that far away. Right now you have heard of the Tamil Brahmi scripts in the Egyptian pyramids. So our mindset has always been Yadum Ure, Yavarum Kelir. All those who come here to make a better life, all those who are here to help our economy. That is true in students also. Tamil Nadu attracts a lot of students. If you look at student loan data, something like 40-45% of all college student loans originate out of Tamil Nadu. Partly is because we have better off people, high enrollment, better credit by the banks in well-to-do places. Partly is because a lot of out-of-state students come to the big educational institutions here, the SRMs, the VITs, the Shivnadars, the many private and government IITs, NITs. So, we have a very global mindset, we have a very cosmopolitan mindset.
And yet,
and every now and then somebody tries to manufacture a problem here, and we try to, stem it at the root. You can remember when they tried to manufacture a so-called Bihari problem, once when Nitish Kumar ji himself came, and we together doused it. Recently, there was some big problem in Chennai, or some family got murdered, Bihari workers, and it turned out the killers were also Bihari. So it was some problem between, it was a bad problem, but it was crime. But I'm saying there is no trend here of actual anti-other state workers. It's not in our blood. We are a welcoming people. We are also the highest, in my understanding, per capita, we're probably the highest diaspora around the world. the Tamil diaspora, partly because we had access to education, partly because of historical things like West Indies, Southeast Asia, a lot of places where Tamil populations are Mauritius, Maldives, Seychelles.
So first time voters I was talking to, actually many of their lecturers as well, they said because of the politics of Hindi, we got deprived of learning the language, and when we go out, we do feel as a life skill. You have spoken against the imposition of Hindi, so to speak.
I'm not a buyer of that logic, right?
No.
We have never stopped anybody from learning what they want to learn. It is beyond stupidity. Like you have no idea. You went through a school system where you had 5 subjects. 2 of them were languages, Tamil and English. I'm saying at elementary school. And now the government of India says I have to make it 6 subjects. I say I don't have the data to suggest why that makes it a better education. I don't have the faculty for it, and this is not new. In 1980s, when Mrs. Indira Gandhi tried to bring the second NEP as a bill, in the bill it says that the first NEP said we should have a 3-language formula, that all the non-Hindi states should promote a 3rd language, preferably a Dravidian language. All the non-Hindi states should promote Hindi. Hindi states should promote a 3rd language, preferably Dravidian. It is not practical or unfeasible because there are no Dravidian language teachers in UP and Bihar and Rajasthan, and there are not enough Hindi teachers in Tamil Nadu and Kerala and wherever else, right? I'm saying it is easy to start spewing policy off the top of your head. I can speak several languages to save my life and read a few, my children can. All of us went through a 2-language system wherever possible. I had to study in CBSE till about 10th, so I went to 3-language till about 8th class. My children went to only 2-language, though they study in international boards. So I'm saying, we don't live in a vacuum. We live in a world of data and outcomes. There is no history that forced 3-language education from a young age gives you any great educational outcome. It's certainly not true in India. What is the average educational outcome in UP or Bihar or Rajasthan or Madhya Pradesh or Goa or Gujarat? Why are you telling me that I have to force 3 languages? And I know where the Dakshin Prachar Hindi Prachar Sabha has its headquarters in Chennai, and the only state in which it has 2 offices is Tamil Nadu. It promotes Hindi with all the might it can get and with all the money the government of India gives it. I have taken the exams, Prathamik, Madhyama and all that when I was young, as I was a CBSE student and forced to do it. Now, anybody who wants to do it, we have never said don't study. In fact, I give you the perfect example. One reporter from a Delhi magazine was asked to come and interview me and told me, sir, I have some bad news for you. Mm-hmm. I said, what is that? He said, a lot of Hindi being spoken all over the state. So I said, why is that bad? Are you telling me that it's like the spread of a disease or what? I say I will not force children to learn Hindi. The upside of that skill additionally is not worth the many complications of what it would take to change my school education model, increase the school hours or cut back other subjects, find the right teachers, train them, etc., etc. The job opportunities that I want my children to compete for is either Tamil Nadu or the world, not Uttar Pradesh, right? So I don't see any upside in forcing children to learn Hindi. If you say the market has determined that Hindi is in widespread use, so be it. Why is that a negative? I'm not anti-Hindi. I'm only anti-imposition by you of educational models onto the most successful state, arguably, by people who have had much less success. That's all.
So right? We have been circumambulating this temple, and yet comments of your leaders, of DMK leaders, has been perceived in many sections in northern India, perhaps, that they are very anti-Hindu. That propaganda. Have you failed to kind of get across that everywhere you have temples?
Look at it. I've said many times. I'll say it again. As best I can tell, Tamil Nadu is probably the most openly Hindu practices following state in India.
That is probably true. Temples in every street.
Yeah, and the temples of the kings, which are the biggest and most culturally famous temples, are all managed by the government to ensure equitable access. If you have tried to go and enter the famous temples in Puri or in Himachal Pradesh or in Uttarakhand or in other places, you have noticed that the priests that run the temples determine their rules. For example, you may remember that the President of India, Thiru Ramnath Kovind, was turned away because of his community from a temple. That can never happen in Tamil Nadu, right? So in a way, I would say the Dravidian movement's principal achievement was to democratize the access to temples and the everyday followership of Saivite and Vaishnavite customs going back to the 1920s. Therefore, you have in this tank, there are probably 7 temples, right? This is just the for the summer. No, this is for the summer for the goddess to come. The main temple that this tank belongs to is that one where we went earlier. But there are temples here, here, here. On this side alone, there are 3 temples, right? So I'm saying every one of these temples is busy. And the best part of this is, it is the most harmonious state. With all this Hindu practicing, all this Hindu followership, all these visible signs of Hindu deities and beliefs, the stoking up of resentment at Tirupparankunram has failed spectacularly. So says the MLA of Tirupparankunram, the ADMK MLA, Thiru Rajan Chelappa. We have both said same thing remarkably. This is not an issue for us. We know how to get along with each other perfectly fine, right? So in my constituency, there's also the Meenakshi Amman temple, as many others, for which the Meenakshi Amman is the parent temple, and also the oldest mosque here from the days of the Delhi Sultanate, which is the Kajimar Street Big Mosque. So all of us live in harmony together. When there are Tamil festivals, Hindu festivals, they participate. In the iftar ceremonies that we had during the month of Ramadan, I host every year. But every one of those, we call it Samattuva Nombu Nigalchi. And we have one Christian priest, one Hindu priest, and the imams and the general population who are breaking their fast, and we all eat together. We want that to continue.
The Chief Minister has pitched this particular election as saying it is Delhi against, or the centre against Tamil Nadu, whereas they will say we are nationalistic and you are a very regional force.
Yeah, I think it is beyond debate for anybody who has been observing this government in Delhi since 2014, that they are increasingly using their money power, that is the taxpayers' money power, and their ability to seemingly legislate without concern to the constitution and bring things in overnight, momentous things like the farm bills or Kashmir status or in a, what is it?
CAA.
So I would say that it is very clear that this is the least constitutional following, debate believing, equitably money distributing government in the history of India. It is a disease that all parties that get control of Delhi seem to follow. There is a long history of the Congress's actions, including the NISA Act and emergency. But at this point, what the Chief Minister is trying to say is that we have seen what happens to those states where the BJP rules either directly or through a shotgun wedding coalition, like the ADM case. And inevitably, they end up towing the Delhi line, which is what is right for the BJP rather than what is right for the state and the people. So the Chief Minister has 10 plus years of data and evidence and actions. So many of our bills were stopped by the governor. So much of our funds were not released by Delhi. Based on that, he says, if you let a Delhi coalition,
That model is also something that you do oppose, the office of the governor being misused, so whether the office of the governor is required at all.
We took him to court, no? And we won at the Supreme Court till the presidential reference came. The Supreme Court was very clear, unequivocally said that there must be a time limit. He is not an authority unto himself. When does an unelected person get to decide above the elected government of a state, right? So these are not issues worth debating. I think the evidence, like sometimes it worries me. Right? It's a bit like, black is black. How many ever times you ask me, black is still black. Why should we keep asking whether black is black 20 years, 15 years? Black will always be black. If you ask me 100th time, it doesn't mean it becomes grey. Black is black. Right?
Okay, this should have come probably at the beginning, but when you say Dravidian Model 2.0, is it something, why is it different from any other model of development or in the country? And is it something that's capable of taking on the challenges that we have from the world today? I mean, I'm saying whether it's AI disruption of the IT sector completely, for instance.
I think there are two different questions. The first question is the Dravidian model different from other models?
Yes.
Then what is 2.0 compared to 1.0?
I'm saying in the global scenario as well.
No, that's what I'm saying. So I'm saying, first thing you have to ask is, let's not get confused, right? What the Chief Minister is saying is, if we come back to the office, which we expect after the election, what you will see is not the same government, but 2.0 version of the Dravidian model. That is to say, this was Dravidian model 1.0. In that sense, I'm saying, the Dravidian model clearly is distinct from others and clearly has produced different results. Otherwise, we all should have got the same results. What has it produced? It has produced spectacular growth, much better human development index, much better social development index, and much better communal harmony. Tell me one other state in this country, no other state grew in double digits last year. We grew at 11.19%. And yet we had all these welfare schemes, we improved our social outcomes, we increased the ratios we wanted to increase and reduce the ratios we want to reduce. It reduced the infant mortality, reduced the disease rates, increased the enrollment of girls in colleges, increased the overall GER rate. So that is what the Dravidian model achieves. It is core, its core tenets are social justice, inclusion, equitable access, education as the path to progress, and ensuring that you keep using data to understand and learn and do better things. Precisely because the world is changing, and in this instance changing so dramatically with all the wars, with AI, with the disruption of the global order post-World War II, no more WTO, it's all bilateral trade, multilateral, regional trade now, tariffs. Precisely because of that, you must have a different model. Change happens independent of you. If you're a thoughtful person, even if you've achieved what you think is nigh perfection, you must constantly keep testing whether it is still getting the right outcomes and whether it is still fit for the circumstances. And since the circumstances keep changing, you must keep improving your model. That's what the 2.0 version is. In its philosophy, it is identical to 1. In its implementation, just like in 1.0, we did free bus rides and Urimai Togai and Pudumai Pen and Nan Mudalvan and any number of schemes, we will have to do different and better and more suited to the circumstances schemes in 2.0. That's why it will be 2.0.
So you were the finance minister. You know that all these welfare schemes which are well intended and had a good social outcome as well. But can you afford it?
Yeah, so I don't want to, because it's a very dangerous question, right? So I'll just give you statistically the answer. Statistically, the answer is in the first 2 years of our government, there was a better improvement of the fisc than in almost any 2 years in the history of Tamil Nadu. And this happened despite having COVID wave 2, COVID wave 3, as well as relatively low growth of rate. Despite all of that, the revenue deficit was halved, the fiscal deficit was brought down substantially, and despite starting a lot of new schemes. Well, if I succeed, it's because the Chief Minister empowered me to succeed. So I'm all credit to him, I'm not there. But I'm saying that is the statistical number, you can go look it up anywhere. If you say, have we followed that trajectory for the last 3 years, I would say no. The first 2 years, the revenue deficit came down sharply. The last 3 years, it has increased. But you look at these, not in rupee terms, but in the important measures of debt to GDP, GSDP, and interest to revenue, I would say the first 2 years and the last 3 years were markedly different. The first 2 years, we did major fiscal consolidation, improvement, and some amount of schemes. In the last 3 years, we have used the luxury of that fiscal consolidation to do a lot more schemes without deteriorating the fisc. It has not improved, but it has not deteriorated. At the basic measures, it has stayed the same. In mathematical numbers, in arithmetic, it has deteriorated, but that's because everything changes, right? Money, the value of money decreases, inflation comes, the notional value keeps increasing. So the revenue deficit as a number has increased, but in the real two measures of debt to GDP and interest to revenue, it has not gotten worse. It is flat or slightly marginally better. It doesn't show the improvement of the first 2 years, but the scheme. So, at different points you have to do different things.
What have been your failings in the last 5 years?
But I would say, listen, you have to find the right balance. And in the end, outcomes tell you whether you've done right or not. We all come with certain theories, right? If our growth rate had been low, then you say, why are you doing what you're doing? If our growth rate is high, unless you tell me it is like dumb luck, which is very unlikely, why didn't all the other states have dumb luck? We're part of the same country. We must be doing something right. So I'm saying, in that sense, whatever it is we have done has resulted in this outcome. Now, failings and all that, there's no politician who's going to sit here and tell you about any failings. So either you think I'm dumber than I am, or you're smarter than you are. I'm not touching that question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a election, your prediction for this election and for the other 3 states in one union territory.
Listen, the first sign of a relatively learned person is stick to what you know. So I know my constituency the best. I know my district not quite as well, but better. And I know my state reasonably. I used to be the founding secretary of the IT wing and did statewide analysis and campaign. That's the ad campaigns and the media campaigns for a while. So as far as my constituency is concerned, I'm very comfortable. I've taken a lot of surveys and I'm on the ground all the time. As far as Madurai, the southern regions are concerned, again, I'm very comfortable. As far as the state is concerned, as every survey indicates and as the Chief Minister has told us our goal, I'm very comfortable that we will reform the government. As for other states, I don't have enough insight to have an opinion. It's better to not talk about things you're not informed about.
Okay. Third election now. You've started enjoying politics. You said you're almost an accidental politician.
Yeah.
Have you started enjoying what you're doing now? Of course, you would have enjoyed the investment banking that you did, the career that you had earlier.
Actually, when I came, I said that I was unusual in the sense that I was running electoral politics for the first time at the age of 50, after 30 years almost as an expat, many careers in many places. And my stated intent at that time was to leave in 10 years. I said, I come at 50, I retire at 60 and go back to some private enterprise, my own or finance or whatever. In fact, I would say that partly because I was not able to see the outcomes that I wanted to see for the people of Madurai. And at the end, all politics is local. Your first duty is to your voters. I have not been able to fulfill all the ambitions I had for my constituency. And so I felt it would be both irresponsible and a bit selfish for me to retire to a life of greater personal luxury and comfort as relatively.
Politics is a very demanding profession.
Yeah,
surely.
and surely global finance is a lot better paying, So in that sense, I would
also very addictive.
I don't know. For me, I would say it was primarily 2 things. I felt like I had not achieved what I ought to achieve, what my forefathers would have expected of me. My father's great contribution, first and foremost, is to Madurai, what he did in 5 years when he was Speaker. And I want to have a legacy like that to leave behind to my children. But second, I think I must confess that it is more meaningful work than anything I have ever done, in the sense that when I was finance minister, it was in a different model because I was minister for many departments. All the public enterprises also come under finance, under the BPE. So effectively, I was minister for finance, pensions, including all the public sector enterprises, management, plus personnel, administrative reforms, which included DVAC, Public Service Commission, all that, plus planning and development, which included planning commission, special area development program. So I had a wide portfolio. And in that sense, I was able to do a lot of change, macro change. I've said on the floor of the House when thanking the Chief Minister, I say, of course, it was all because of him. He's the one who brought me here, empowered me, gave me the portfolios, protected me enough to allow me to drive change. But having said that, I say my great achievement is that I brought more change in 2 years than any 20 in so many dimensions. And so that was extremely fulfilling. The last 3 years has been a different trajectory because it was a relatively minor portfolio because of the way the government of Tamil Nadu separates IT from compared to other states. But this deep satisfaction is that at a micro level, at an individual level, you're able to do so much, right? Being a minister is a great privilege, and particularly because of my leader's support and because of my track record in my first 2 years, I have good connectivity around the system. So I'm able to do micro level good every day in a way that is gratifying, and it is more meaningful than, of course, it's great to innovate and do global finance and help
But you
people's
don't
careers.
get to watch films of Vijay or of a Durandar.
Yeah, that neither in that career nor this career. Both careers have been demanding enough that I haven't had chance to do that.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
You know, election and campaigning in the months of April or even March in Tamil Nadu would have been the most unpleasant experience with a hot sun. But I think this has been the most pleasant conversation during election, run up to the elections that I've had ever. Thank you so much for talking to DeKoder. And signing off from the Teppakulam, Mariamman Teppakulam in Madurai with camera person Paul Raj. This is Sudhir for DeKoder.